Barb here, and as I always say, I am here tonight on a mission, and that mission is to help you reverse type 2 diabetes naturally. I am here tonight because I want to inspire many of you to action because many of you have been sitting in despair, in anxiety about high blood sugars, in anxiety about being on more and more medications. So I come in here every night to help inspire those of you to action. One of the things I always say is that if you do not move your body, if you do not take action, you are always going to be in despair. You're always going to be miserable. So it's all about the action to really get to the solution. Now, I'm going to be looking from screen to screen tonight because I have several lives up. I have TikTok live, I have Facebook and Instagram because I want to reach as many people as possible. And I want to again inspire everyone here to take action for their own health. Now, if you do not know who I am, I'm an internal medicine physician. I started out my career in hospital medicine, where I see end stage diabetes all the time. And that is what inspired me to start spreading the word that you can, in fact, reverse type 2 diabetes naturally. Why do I do this? Because I see the worst case scenarios. People who think that they're okay, that, okay, the blood sugar is high, but it's really not gonna, I don't feel anything, I'm fine, maybe a little fatigue, but, it's what's the worst that could happen? The reality is, once you're having high blood sugars, it means that you're in trouble. You might not be having overt symptoms, but just know the high blood sugar alone is a symptom that should alarm you. So, high blood sugars, don't take them lightly. And so, tonight, I want to inspire many of you who have been sitting on high blood sugars or thinking you have time. I want to inspire you to take the right action. Now, a lot of you out there who are having high blood sugars, experiencing high blood sugars, you are also afraid of starting medications. You don't want to get stuck on medications, and I understand that perspective as well. A lot of you have already had the discussion with your doctors about starting metformin, right? Which is usually the first line. Some of you here might be on 2 or 3 medications. Some of you here might already be talking about insulin or already on insulin. And I know that is the scariest part of the journey, and rightfully so, because the problem is that if you are not taking the right action when it comes to type 2 diabetes, very likely, even if you're on medications, that disease is going to continue to progress. How do I know that? Because I'm taking care of people in the hospital who are on 2, 3, 4 medications on insulin, and here they are in the hospital. Because medications, they mask the symptom. The symptom is high blood sugar, right? It masks the symptom. Meanwhile, you are not getting to the root cause. So what happens is the disease silently wreaks havoc in your body. So you think you're doing okay. You go about life regularly, you're taking the medications, and then the doctor drops the bomb on you that you need to be on a second medication after metformin. Maybe you didn't tolerate the metformin, right? And now you're discussing a whole different medication plus another. So the medication does not solve your problem. I'm going to tell you that up front. There is always a place for medications, right? Medications are important for healing. However, when it comes to type 2 diabetes, it might slow the progression some. For some of you, though, it's not getting to the root cause. The root cause is truly the system based approach that I teach women every single day. And that system based approach is the evidence based approach, it's the science backed approach. It's really the approach that your doctor is giving you a chance to do when you were first diagnosed with prediabetes or when you were first diagnosed with early diabetes and you were given a chance, right? Many of you here might remember that discussion with your doctor, the one where they said, okay, your blood sugars are high. I'm going to start some metformin, and then you push back and you say, okay, no, give me a chance. I can do it. I can lose the weight. I can, I can eat better. You are inspired in that moment to do it. But then when you walk out of your doctor's office, your doctor gives you that chance. They say, okay, come back in 3 months. And if your numbers are better, we won't do medication. If your numbers are worse, we'll do medication. So you walk out of there inspired, but then you realize you are totally on your own. You realize you're not exactly sure what to do, right? And so what do? You end up going onto the internet to find that supplement that might work. And maybe you tried the supplement. Many of you here might have already tried the supplements and it didn't work. Some of you here may have become vegetarians because you thought that would have solved the problem and it didn't. Some of you might have already done intermittent fasting and that might have worked for a little bit, but it didn't solve the problem. And so that is where the vicious cycle begins. So it's all about having the right strategy. And we'll talk about what the right strategy is in a minute. But again, I want to drive home that the supplements, the herbal teas, those by themselves will not work. And you end up wasting valuable time using those things or overly relying on those things. And then when you go back to your doctor, you hear that it's time to start metformin. Your numbers didn't get any better. For those of you who hide from your numbers, because I know some of you out there, your blood sugar is high. You've been told your blood sugar is high, but you're not checking it at home, right? You don't want to start the medication, so you hide from your blood sugars, and that's not the way to go either. Hiding from your blood sugars is only going to get you into more trouble. So you really have to face the truth head on, face the fact that you do have high blood sugars, you do have type 2 diabetes, but understand that you can do something about it. Understand that there is a natural approach, but it has to be the right approach. And it's the approach that I teach, a system-based approach. So type 2 diabetes really does silently destroy the body. There's no doubt about it. It silently destroys your body. So for those of you who say, yes, my blood sugars are high, but I don't feel it. If I don't check it, I wouldn't know my blood sugars are high. Just know that high blood sugars are wreaking havoc on the nerves in your hands and feet, the nerves in your eyes, the blood vessels in your eyes, the nerves in your GI tract. It's touching every organ in your body and wreaking havoc there. So the reality is, yes, you're having high blood sugars, and no, you're not having, or you think you're not having significant symptoms, but the reality is once that blood sugar is high, it's an alarming symptom. That alone is a symptom that you need to take very seriously. So now, I've basically debunked a lot of the things that you might have had hope in, right? Or maybe the things you've tried and you realize it didn't work, right? The herbs, the intermittent fasting, the teas, the supplements. The approach that works is one that I call a system-based. But the first and foremost thing in that system is your nutrition. So one of the things when I started this practice that's solely dedicated to helping people step by step reverse type 2 diabetes, when I started this practice, I started it with the intention of making your kitchen my clinic. That is my motto. Your kitchen is my clinic. That is where the magic happens. Okay, that is where you learn, you really drive your blood sugars down with the right foods. And that is really the key to this. So when you walk out of your doctor's office feeling alone, it's all overwhelming, right? You go home, you check on the internet, what's a diabetic diet? Some of it doesn't even look very appealing. Some of it is telling you to do, all kind of extreme fasting. It's things that you can't keep up. And the reality is, to reverse type 2 diabetes, you must eat. And so that is one of the most shocking things that my clients actually learn. They're shocked by it, that I'm encouraging them to eat, that I'm encouraging them to satisfy their bodies, to nourish their bodies. So the reality is, to reverse type 2 diabetes successfully, you must be eating. So if you are starving, you're only doing one meal a day, you're doing these extreme intermittent fasting where you're fasting for 16 to 18 hours a day, which amounts to one meal a day, I can tell you you're getting into trouble there. Now, is there a place for fasting? Absolutely, there's a place for fasting, but it has to be done correctly. And the problem is there's a lot of DIY, do it yourselves going on, and that is where you get into trouble with fasting. So, nourishing your body is key. The problem is when you're fasting and you're not nourishing your body, and then your blood sugars are high, you're low energy, you feel sluggish, you have severe brain fog. So now you're experiencing those things because now you have high blood sugars that are again affecting the way your brain works, affecting your mood, affecting your energy. And then in addition, your body is not getting the nourishment it needs. If your body isn't getting the nourishment it needs, it's not getting the nutrient it needs, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel weak. You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel low energy. So eating is actually a critical part of what I teach. And that is also why I designed my nutrition guide to really get to the root of the mystery around food, right? The main question I get when I start working with anyone is, what do I eat? So let's talk about that. What do you eat? So if you're a type 2 diabetic, the first mistake that I see very often is that as type 2 diabetics, or even as a pre-diabetic, people are focused on eating healthy. But the real question should be, are you eating healthy for your blood sugars? If you are not eating healthy for your blood sugars, then that is the first mistake that you make. So you are a very special circumstance. You have very special circumstances. And that is what's healthy for the average person without type 2 diabetes is not necessarily healthy for you. So, for example, many of you might be doing shakes in the morning. And that is where, again, you get into a lot of trouble, right? If you're doing smoothies or shakes, that is where a lot of the problem starts because a lot of the ingredients you're putting in there are driving up your blood sugar and causing a whole lot of problems. So, that is one myth and misconception that I spend time debunking, is that, for example, these smoothies, not there are good smoothies that you can use, but not every smoothie is going to work for you. So what's healthy for everyone is not necessarily healthy for you. If you're someone who's eating oatmeal every morning, again, that's where you can get into trouble, right? Oatmeal is healthy. Steel cut oats is healthy, or rolled oats is healthier for blood sugar, but you have to be careful as well. So again, oats is a healthy option. The steel cut oats is a healthy option for the average person. But if you have blood sugar issues, you have to think very closely about what you're doing and how it's going to affect your blood sugar. The other issue is fruit. I get that question so often. Can I eat fruit? The answer is yes, but you have to know how that fruit is going to affect your blood sugar. So, for example, let's go back to the smoothie. If you're putting mango in your smoothie, if you're putting mango, pineapple, if you're putting, these real banana in your smoothies, you're gonna get into trouble. So, understanding how to design your nutrition for your blood sugars is important. And that is one of the key things I mentioned. So, let's talk about your nutrition now. So, we've already talked about the importance of eating. You must eat in order to successfully reverse type 2 diabetes. Now, what should your plate look like? What is the strategy when it comes to nutrition? And remember, nutrition is a big part of the system, but it's not the entire system. Now, let's talk about the plate because I find that describing the plate is the easiest way to break down what your overall nutrition should look like. So, here I'm assuming that you're getting in at least 3 meals a day. Okay, at least 3 meals a day is what you should be eating. Now, on that plate, you should have a quarter of your plate should be a protein, a quality protein. So don't go for any processed proteins like bacon. Don't go for sliced meats. Those are not quality proteins. You want to go for, well, everybody eats eggs in the morning, but think of it this way. You can eat anything you want for breakfast, any protein on your plate, quality protein, animal source protein is important. For those of you who are vegetarian and diabetic, well, things get a little bit more complicated there. And you should definitely have additional help when it comes to controlling your blood sugars as a vegetarian. Now, for those of you who are considering becoming vegetarians for the sole purpose of blood sugar control, I would actually discourage against that. So, if you are thinking of becoming a vegetarian for the sole purpose of diabetes, right? If you think that's going to work, I'm going to save you that, okay? It's becoming a vegetarian makes things harder, believe it or not. So don't become a vegetarian because you do want to have protein on every plate throughout your day. So a quarter of your plate should be a protein. Half of your plate should be vegetables, right? That's nothing new. You've heard this a time and time again, but that's the reality. Half of your plate should be vegetables. The other quarter of your plate is where you are dealing with your complex carbohydrates. So, another myth that I'm going to bust here is that you do not have to cut carbs out. Cutting carbs is probably one of the worst things that you can do when it comes to reversing type 2 diabetes. Again, it's not sustainable. You become frustrated. You're not giving your body what it needs. The question you should be asking yourself when it comes to carbohydrates is it a quality carbohydrate? Is it going to nourish your body? So, for those of you, I know many of you have already taken the steps to cut white bread out, white rice out. You've cut added sugar, you've cut juice out. So those are the basics. And actually, most of the people I work with have already taken those basic steps. If you haven't done that, that's something I would recommend. Those are what you say are simple or processed carbs that don't have any benefit. Therefore, that's not the carbohydrate that you want to have on your plate. Okay. You don't want to have that kind of carbohydrate on your plate because at the end of the day, that's what's going to spike your blood sugar. Okay. So those are simple carbohydrates, white bread, white rice. They don't have any nutrients in them. It just becomes sugar the minute it hits your mouth. It starts to break down into sugar. And that's when you get that very rapid blood sugar spike. And that blood sugar spike goes way high from those simple carbohydrates. So now you want to go for complex carbohydrates. That is where strategy is. So complex carbohydrates are your carbohydrates that have nutrients in there. They're very nutrient dense. So think of the perfect one to mention here is sweet potato. It's one of my favorites. It's my go-to. Every single day I eat sweet potato. Sweet potato has antioxidants, vitamin C, fiber. So it is a rich carbohydrate that gives your body so much of what it needs, and it breaks down very, very slowly into sugar in your system. So don't cut carbs out completely, but think about carbs more strategically. You want to go for carbohydrates that are going to slowly be absorbed into your system rather than give you the rapid spike that drives your blood sugar up. So it's all about strategy. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention is your fats. We cannot forget the fats, and fats are important for blood sugar control. By the way, I didn't mention protein, how important it is for blood sugar control. First of all, protein does not break down into sugar at all. Protein slows your digestion. If it slows your digestion, it's going to slow that blood sugar spike as well. It's going to lower that blood sugar spike. So that's why protein is so important. But fats are just as important. The reason fats are important is because remember, your body needs that to make cells. Your body needs that to make hormones. Your body needs that to drive your energy. But again, you have to look at fats in a very strategic way. And that strategic way is what kind of fats are you eating? Are you eating the good fats or the bad fats? So, a good example of a bad fat is fats that come from fried foods, fats that come from foods like bacon. So, those are your bad fats that you do think fats that come from margarine. Those are your bad fats that come from processed things. So, cut bad fats out. your good fats are your avocados, right? Natural, your olives, your olive oil, your coconut oil. Those are the good fats that now you want to focus on those, because now you're giving yourself the fats that your body can use to make hormones, to give you energy. It's not going to readily build up around your waistline. So it's really important to feed your body with the good fats. And what you're going to find is not only will you see an improvement with your blood sugars, but you're also going to see an improvement with your cholesterol levels as well. And I know a lot of you here are struggling with high cholesterol because many people with type 2 diabetes, because of insulin resistance, develop an imbalance with their lipids, right? And so your lipids go through the roof. Your bad cholesterol is up, your good cholesterol is down. So what you will find is that will start to change, and your good cholesterol will start to go up, your bad cholesterol will start to go down as a result of eating your good fats. Now that is new. And oh, one more thing, how could I forget? In all of that, so in that entire plate, we want to incorporate our good fats, but in that entire plate as well, we also want to incorporate fiber. We cannot forget fiber. And I almost forgot it. So, fiber is critical to control your blood sugars. Okay. Fiber, again, slows digestion down, it acts as a buffer. And so that creates a very slow absorption of sugar into your system. It blunts that blood sugar spike. So don't forget your fiber. It's critical. Your fiber is important. Many, many, many people are fiber deficient. How much fiber should you be getting? At least 25 grams of fiber or more a day. Okay. So again, it's all about strategy and understanding how to incorporate each of those things into your diet in a healthy and balanced way. Because very likely, I will say most people are protein deficient and most people are fiber deficient. And most people who struggle with type 2 diabetes are very carb heavy, and it's the wrong type of carbohydrates. So you definitely want to make sure that the plate that I just described, a quarter protein, a quarter veggies, a quarter complex carbohydrates, and then throughout that, you should have your good fats and your fiber. Your fiber is going to be in your vegetables. Okay. So, for example, let's talk about asparagus. Okay. Asparagus is a low carb vegetable, excellent source of fiber, and in addition to the vitamins and minerals that you need. So, asparagus is a good example of a vegetable that you should have on your plate. Now, let's talk about salmon. Salmon is also a good example, right? We have our asparagus with our fiber in there, and of course, our nutrients. But now we incorporate the good fats with our salmon, with a piece of salmon on your plate as well. That's where you're going to get your omega 3s and your good fats. So that is an example of a good plate. And then to top it off, you can have a piece of sweet potato on the side, or you can even have a piece of avocado on the side to top off your good fats and also your fiber. So, it's really important, again, to understand how your plate should be designed in order to truly achieve blood sugar control. Now, remember, it's a system based approach as well. So you want to be having the rest of the picture in place. And the rest of the picture is movement. And walking is important. It's a good tool to use, but there's another strategy that you have to incorporate, and that's strength training. Because as we get older, I specialize in helping women over 40, like myself. I'm over 40, and I learned the hard way. In my mid 30s, became very insulin resistant after I had my daughter, gained 30 pounds in the midst of a very busy and stressful hospital career. I gained 30 pounds, and I too was staring down, my first medication. And that is when I decided things had to change. And that's when I truly dedicated my time to changing nutrition. So I'm not just talking from the doctor's perspective, I'm talking from someone who's been there and taken the time to practice what I preach. So, it's really important to look at things in a strategic way. And as we age, what tends to happen is that we start to lose muscle. Okay, after the age of 30, we start to lose muscle. So that's one of the reasons that as we age, we start to feel more sluggish, or A1C starts to creep up, or blood sugar start to creep up. You might be eating the same things, but your blood sugar is just creeping up and up. It's because our bodies are changing as well. So we have to push back on that process with strength training. So movement in a strategic way and with intention is also important. So strength training, and then walking is also an important tool. I say walking is low hanging fruit. If you walk 15 minutes twice a day, you will definitely see a difference there as well. Habits are important. So again, it's all about the system. And this is the approach that your doctor does not have time. It's like an open secret, right? It's there. Your doctor is telling you, go, I'll give you 3 months to get your numbers better. Maybe we won't start medications, right? But then they're not telling you exactly what to do. They're not walking you through that process. And that is what I realized as a hospital doctor. People were getting to me, with kidney failure. By the time people were getting to me in the hospital, it's kidney failure. They're losing toes or they're losing whole limbs because of diabetic neuropathy, because of circulation issues from diabetes. And so I realized very quickly that there is a void to fill, that there is a chance to prevent that disaster, to prevent that tragedy of being in the hospital and losing a limb and your whole life changing because you didn't have that chance to be walked through. So your doctor does not have the time to break things down for you. It's like an open secret. It's almost like they tease you with bits and pieces of information. Oh, lose weight. Oh, eat the Mediterranean diet. But what does that mean? And that is where a lot of people get frustrated, right? It's what does that mean? And then you try the DIY approach. So strategy is everything, and understanding step by step what you need to do and how you put that whole picture together. Because everything I'm saying here, you've heard before, but the question is, how do you put it all together? So, nutrition, movement, and your daily habits are important as well. What habits are you prioritizing? What habits do you need to eliminate altogether? So habit forming is also an important part of the process. Um, and the last thing is mindset, right? We have to get past this tendency to delay and delay until there's a disaster, right? It's all about being able to see ahead, and that is why I do this, because many people don't know that the outcome can be so disastrous until one day their life changes. And again, I see people's lives change every day. I still round in the hospital. I'm still a hospitalist. I still take care of people with diabetes in the hospital. And I see every day where 1 minute things are fine and the next minute their whole life is falling apart because of type 2 diabetes. So it's about stepping away from the delay and the procrastination. Take action, because what you were delaying can actually explode right in your face. Okay. And then you're wishing you had taken action sooner. For those of you here who have watched family suffer, you know firsthand, I don't have to tell you what the future holds if you don't take action. If you don't take action, the future is not very bright, and you do have full control over what your future looks like. So mindset is something that I work with the women that I work with. Mindset is a very central part of what we do, because it's an ability to get past that sense of procrastination, to get past that sense that, oh, I'm not having symptoms, so everything is okay. It's really about taking action, being confident in your action, and understanding that you control what your future looks like. You control what your health looks like, but you just have to have the right strategy, because if you don't have the right strategy, then many times that is where, again, you're just turning your wheels. You feel like you're getting nowhere. So break that mindset to procrastinate. Break that mindset that you'll do it on your own. If you feel that you cannot do it on your own and you're struggling, get help, because again, the disasters that lie ahead are truly, as someone who sees it firsthand, it's worth taking action today. So with that, I am going to close off, but I hope I've done at least one thing tonight, and that is I hope I've inspired you guys to take action. You control your future. You control your health. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Don't let anyone convince you it's just hereditary, it's your fate. Don't let anyone convince you just take the medications and you'll be okay, because the reality is I'm seeing people in the hospital on 3 and 4 medications and they're not okay. All right. So it's about getting to the root cause, not just solely relying on medications as a band aid, but really getting to the root cause. So just know that you hold your future in your hands and you can make a difference for yourself if you take the right action. I'm always open to comments, questions. So please feel free to put any comments in the chat if you'd like. Please follow and like this live, spread the word so that more people will know that they hold their future in their hands, that they can reverse type 2 diabetes with the right action. So with that, I'm going to close off. Let me just check my check for any questions. All right. All right, guys. So have a good night. And I'm here almost every night again to push you guys to action. It's all about action. You can be free from type 2 diabetes. So it's all about the action. All right, guys. Have a good night. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is if you guys need help, if you want that one-on-one, oh, you're welcome, Quiet Storm. You're welcome. Hopefully, I've inspired you to take action. So if you guys want that help, if you want that, thank you. If you want that help, if you want that guidance, then I'm here. So you just click the link in the bio, and that's where you can book your free discovery call. And that's where we can, I can get to know your specific challenges, your specific goals, your specific issues, and you can learn more about what we do, and then we can move forward from there. So go ahead, click the link in the bio if you're ready to take action. And those spots are reserved for people who are really serious about taking action. So go ahead, take action, click the link in the bio, and there's other links there so that you can get to know us and what we do. All right, guys, have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow night.